anything that you would like to ask the doctor directly, we'll ensure that she gets those questions. Now, if you'd like to be live in our Zoom room with Dr. Davis, please visit storystitches.org where you can register. We're really excited to introduce our brand new song, Worthy, which was completely produced in-house. Everything was written by us, and this song, we hope, embodies the entire theme of perception isn't always reality.
Yeah, I got a friend, he's spiraling down, wondering how I can break him out. Pick up a pen, pick up a pad, write everything I can think about. Judging his past, they judging him bad, don't let it break him, but even out, even through smiles, even through laughs, I see the things he don't speak about. It's what they all say, that's what they all say. His potential longest hallways, he bright as broad day. He the strongest that I've ever known, so I know he'll rise. And his talent in every word he wrote, but towing lines is becoming just a statistic. Pain in this life is given, pain is watching you become exactly what they predicted. Pain is watching you let your pride sabotage your position. When opportunity don't knock on doors of the hoods we live in. Hurt to see them winning when they ain't nearly as gifted. Thinking the game is equal then losing cause of your pigment. Traumatized with no trauma units to help you heal it. Pain is love, persevering, perception isn't.
I'm cleaning out these foggy lenses, leaning on the gifts of my senses. Hey, yeah. Knowing that your power's within me, determined so I fight to the finish. Hey, yeah. I'ma dream big, yeah. I'ma go far, never let a single doubt piece of my thoughts. Cause I'm worthy, so worthy.
I know this time gon' come, so I gotta stay patient. But when I look into their eyes, up then I'm seeing this hatred. I know the love ain't much, say why they think I'ma take it. Feel like I'm trapped up in my thoughts and now my mind is stay racing. I gave my heart to some people, I didn't think they would break it. I put my trust in some people, I didn't think they would snake me. And when they told me that they love me, never knew they would fake it. Now I feel my soul is gone, so call me a demon. Whole time they told me lies and I couldn't believe it. I can't even hang with friends cause they constantly fiending. Always told me you was solid, but now you leaning. I know I wanna catch your mind and feel like you dreaming. Know my boss how this the sun, so call me a phoenix. Put some lights up on my neck, you can see it gleaming. Hey, you can see it gleaming, yeah.
I'm cleaning out these foggy lenses, leaning on the gifts of my senses. Hey, yeah. Knowing that your power's within me, determined so I fight to the finish. Hey, yeah. I'ma dream big, yeah. I'ma go far, never let a single doubt piece of my thoughts. Cause I'm worthy, so worthy. Cause I'm worthy, so worthy.
Wonderful. We hope you enjoyed that music video. If you do enjoy this song, we invite you to pick it up on all streaming platforms. It was actually just released today. It's a brand new song, and we'd love for you to share it with everybody that you know. Now we're going to introduce one of our absolute all-time favorite mentors, the masterful storyteller, Bobby Norfolk.
What is real versus a dream? Follow me down the rabbit hole to see exactly what I mean. Perception defined, the ability to see, hear, or become aware of something through the five senses. Intuitive understanding and insight is at the core of this fight. Reality defined, the opposite of all things imaginary. The opposite of all things non-existent, and that's not it. How things actually are before our preconceived notions, and all these things have a chance to corrupt it. Tom Cruise said, "I want the truth." Jack Nicholson said, "You can't handle the truth." Let me take a deeper dive and I will provide more proof. Perception versus reality. The truth is actually very stern. Put your hand over fire, expect to get burned. Some of this stuff coming out on social media contradicts all that we have ever learned. There is a truth that you think is the truth. There's a truth that is considered to be the truth by other folks. And here you thought you were woke. Not too long ago, a White House press secretary said, "We are dealing with alternative facts." Many scientists warned about burning fossil fuels. Stop digging all those wells. Now major oil companies have put the planet in a state of holy hell. COVID-19 vaccine killing people, putting microchips in your arm. Instead of doing help to humanity, we are doing more harm. Vaccines have cured measles, mumps, smallpox, polio, hepatitis A and B, yellow fever, rabies, tuberculosis, and you can bet there have been no three-headed babies and devil horns coming out of people yet. No school like old school. Most commercials today borrow and sample from the 60s and 70s music because the PR are no fools, no whistles and bells. They just know what sells. Information, facts, arguments, rumors, half-truths, or lies to influence public opinion, all dressed up in disguise. If you saturate lies 24/7 on social media, newspapers, radios, and TVs, spread those lies across the 7 seas. Some think artificial intelligence and 5G technology will do the trick, while others think that it's the mark of the beast, 666. 5G had to be launched to give us a broader band. Who cares that the technology wouldn't let airplanes land? 270 doctors, scientists, healthcare workers, and professors sent an open letter to Spotify about misinformation, misleading comments to raise the alarm about talk on the Joe Rogan podcast platform. Americans get all upset about wearing a mask, while in China, people get padlocked inside their homes without being asked. Yes, they are under forced house arrest. But since March 2020, in the land of the free, we still suffer under this emotional stress. In Israel, they don't play. They track you on your smartphones and drones whenever you go out, night or day. Climate change reached a tipping point, and you need more proof. Al Gore told us in 2006 in his movie, An Inconvenient Truth. Perception isn't always reality. Perception isn't always reality. Public relations define the conscious and intelligent manipulation of the organized habits and opinions of the masses is an important element in a democratic society. Those who manipulate this unseen mechanism of society constitute an invisible government, which is the true ruling power of our country. What corporations needed to realize, they had to transform the way the majority of Americans thought about products. But watch out for the money vulture. They must shift from the needs to a desires culture. People must be trained to desire to want more things. Let's try that. See how much money it brings. We must shape a new mentality that man's desires must overshadow his needs. Let's squeeze that turnip until it bleeds. No, I didn't pull this out of the void. This concept was created in 1928 by Edward Bernays, whose uncle was the eminent psychologist Sigmund Freud. And here all this time you thought you were free. Now, what is a terrorist? Anytime somebody pulls a gun on you, that's an act of terror. And we will never have peace if we keep thinking terrorists only come from the Middle East. At election time, people cry out, they're doing us wrong. But Dr. King said in 1965, how long? Not long. Be conscious of what you consume topically, because speaking philosophically, if you're looking for an answer, who would have thought that baby powder would cause ovarian cancer? Who's the real president? You might cry, all being overshadowed by the big lie. You can best bet the moon is not a hologram and the earth is not flat just because you saw it on the internet. How do we control all these negative concepts? We start with the 5 precepts. Proper nutrition. The body can tell when you eat well. Exercise. Whether you are overweight or skin and bone, the body temple is just looking for some muscle tone. The brain cells love this. Breathe slow. Breathe deep. Find that cycle that works for you. Let others do what they have to do. Mental attitude would take us to a higher altitude. A quitter never wins, and a winner never quits. People don't plan to fail, they just fail to plan. Maintain your immune system using all your talents with the correct acid-alkaline balance. I'm just a messenger. Don't give me all the glory. No one wants to hear the naked truth, but they will listen when it's clothed in story.
Thank you so much for that, Bobby. Ladies and gentlemen, we hope you enjoyed it. And now to bring up another storyteller, a great storyteller in her own right, ladies and gentlemen, Rachel.
And I am a poet on Perception Isn't Reality. And basically my poetry is about how we should do our own research and how Tuskegee is still affecting our views on the vaccine today that we have. So being on this project means to me that I can have my voice out into the community as a young adult who had to get the vaccine in order to get my education. So yeah, tune in.
Our perception lead us to different directions called lessons or blessings. Depending on your perspective, the Reverend may talk about heaven while you may question the presence of reality. Is it all real you see, or is it just a fantasy? My perception on the world differs from time to time, so I must ask, if you can see the world from my eyes, would you take the chance to see the beauty in the beast? But perception tells us that these are two separate entities. Reality forces us to accept these choices that were handed to us, good or bad, because without one, you can never have the other. Our fears lies in Tuskegee, when brown folk like me were denied a vaccine that cured a disease that wasn't spread by folk like me. See, they came into our communities and took our men that were in poverty, unethical practices. Men died and they laughed at this. They promised to help and provide medical assistance if it all got out of hand, but man, weren't they deceptive, manipulating our perception, giving us false realities? Believe me, when I heard about COVID-19 and this vaccine, I thought about Tuskegee, but my perception isn't their reality. So I began to do my own research on my fear. Multiple news sources shouted statistics in my ear. I hear from my peers that they're starting not to care. Our fears have become our reality. We're watching our future crumble in our hand. We want to protect our families, but we don't know if we can. We just want the truth. We just want the world to understand what we go through. We still fear Tuskegee. We still ask them, what will you do to me? But maybe it's not all bad. See, we gotta pay attention to the small details in the bigger picture. The small details lies within ourselves, overcoming our fear for the bigger picture. Like when I got the vaccine, I hope that my family will follow right behind me. Do your own research. So much death in the world that it's starting not to hurt. I'm starting to become numb to the pain. It's hard to explain how I feel about this fear. Tuskegee still flows through my veins, and I wish I knew the names of the men whose reality has been altered. But we shall overcome, and we shall not falter. I'm here for you. I understand the thoughts that fluster you. I know that how we perceive the world isn't duality, but how we perceive the world makes up our reality.
Beautiful job as always, Rachel. Now we're actually going to perform Worthy live for you. We hope that you enjoy, and we hope that you'll join us in the Zoom room with Dr. Davis immediately following.
Yeah. Hey, look, I got a friend, he's spiraling down, wondering how I could bring him out. Pick up a pen, pick up a pad, write everything I can think about. Judging his past, they judging him bad. Don't let it break him, but even now, even through smiles, even through laughs, I see the things they don't think about. What they all say, that's what they all say. His potential long his hallways, he bright as broad day. He the strongest that I ever known, so I know he'll rise. And his talent in every word he wrote, but towing lines of becoming just a statistic. Pain in this life is given. Pain is watching you become exactly what they predicted. Pain is watching you let your pride sabotage your position when opportunity don't knock on doors of the hoods we live in. Hurt to see him winning when they ain't nearly as gifted. Thinking the game is equal, then losing cause of your pigment. Traumatized with no trauma units to help you live it. Pain is love, persevering. Perception isn't.
I'm cleaning out these foggy lenses, leaning on the gifts of my senses. Yeah. Knowing the true powers within me, determined so I fight to the finish. Yeah. I'ma dream big, I'ma go far. Never let a single doubt into my thoughts. 'Cause I'm worthy.
That's right.
Hey.
So worthy.
I know the time gon' come, so I gotta stay patient. But when I look into their eyes, I think I'm seeing it. I know the love ain't real, so why they think I'ma take it? Feel like I'm trying to build my thoughts, and now my mind is stay racing. Gave my heart to some people I didn't think they would break it. I put my chest in some people I didn't think they would stay. And when they told me that they love me, never knew they would fake it. Now I feel my soul is gone, so call me a demon. Whole time they told me lies and I couldn't believe it. I can't nigga hang with friends cause they constantly feeding. Always told me you was solid, but now you leaning. I know I run across your mind and feel like you dreaming. No, my boss side is the sun, so call me a phoenix. Put some ice up on my neck, you can see it gleaming. Hey, and you can see it gleaming, yeah.
I'm cleaning out these foggy lenses, leaning on the gifts of my senses. Yeah. Knowing that your power's within me, determined so I fight to the finish. Yeah. I'ma dream big, I'ma go far. Never let a single doubt into my thoughts. 'Cause I'm worthy.
That's right, you are
so worthy. I'm worthy. So worthy. Yeah. I'm worthy.
Word.
So worthy.
Worthy.
I got here the end. I forgot. Yeah.
Now, if you'd like to be live in our Zoom room with Dr. Davis, please visit storystitches.org where you can register. All right, everyone, we hope that you found this educational, that it's been insightful, and that it's also been entertaining for you. If you're wondering how you can keep up with things the St. Louis Story Stitchers are doing, we invite you to follow us on Instagram at Story Stitchers, on Twitter at Story Stitchers, as Hello, everybody. Under the sound of my voice, I want to thank you for tuning in, whether that be on Zoom or any other platform that you joined us. We want to thank you for coming in. We hope you got to see our video performance just before now. We hope you got to see the brand new music video that we just shot for our very new song, Worthy. And we hope that you find this insightful. So let's hop right into it. How y'all feeling?
I'm feeling great.
Do y'all know who this is? Do y'all know who this is right here? You know, we usually introduce the guests. We usually introduce the guests last. My bad. So we got a special guest right here. So we're a little discombobulated a little bit, if you will. We got the director of the Department of Health with us, Dr. Davis. How are you?
I am great. Okay?
Beautiful.
So glad to be here.
Beautiful, beautiful. And of course we have Patrick and we got Chris with us. How y'all feeling?
Bless.
My bad. Y'all see why I should have introduced y'all first? Because we're not doctors. We not head of the Department of Health. You know what I'm saying? So it just, I'm sorry I had to do y'all like that.
I'm coming over here every weekend because guest me like this all you want.
Of course. Look at who we dealing with. So before we even get into what we're here for those who may not know, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. So my name is Dr. Matifadza Hlatshwayo Davis. Docs people call me. I'm the Director of Health for the City of St. Louis. I'm originally from Harare, Zimbabwe. Stand up. You see the print. And I am an infectious diseases doctor by training. So I think I calculated it once. From the time of kindergarten, I think I've been in school for 30 years continuously. It's a lot. But I'm an infectious diseases doctor by training. I have a public health degree. So, undergrad, med school, did a master's degree, did research, did a fellowship, and then worked as an infectious disease doctor for a couple of years. My passion, though, is community engagement, and I'm unapologetic about equity for Black and brown communities. And that was my journey prior to becoming the Director of Health under the incomparable Queen Mayor Tashara Jones, who has a historic cabinet, the most diverse. I'm one of many powerful female leaders. So what a time to lead. It's such an exciting time to lead.
I know, right? Beautiful.
But
right,
I'm also a wife to Dr. Jesse Davis. I'm also a
know.
mother to Aneni and Naniso Davis. So, just every woman over here,
Hey,
big myself up a second.
Awesome.
Hey, yeah, most def. So, first of all, let us thank the CDC Foundation for making this possible for us to do this. Ladies and gentlemen, we're here to discuss or to address vaccine misinformation and COVID in general. And so we got people on the stage that know what they're talking about, especially Dr. Davis. If you're in Zoom listening to this right now, if you have any questions for the doctor, we encourage you to put them down in the chat. We have people in the audience that are going to ask questions. So we're going to be hitting you with questions from all different angles. You about to get a lot of questions. And so, yes, we definitely encourage you. If you have any questions, regardless of how silly you might think they are, it's a safe place here. Please put them down in the chat and so that we can get them to the doctor and get you as much information as possible. That being said, let's get started. I have a few questions sent from members of the audience already.
Great.
So let's get started. Our first question, you said on Twitter, I was born in Zimbabwe. My father fought for independence. My mother an activist in her own right. My first protest was at age 11. I was going to the library, and she saw me on the front page of the news the next day. So how did your experiences as a youth prepare you for where you are today?
I'm sorry, can we just have a second for the research? I have been on CNN, BBC, Al Jazeera, many a time. I have been interviewed by journalists here in the city and nationally. And I don't know that everybody's dug that deep into my Twitter. I think I need to go check my feed when I get home and maybe get some stuff off.
Make sure you.
So first of all, let me just say how impressed I am and how more impressed that that's what you would lead with, because it says a lot about y'all, because that's the essence of who I am. I'm very blessed. I was born in what the colonialists call a low-income country, but there's nothing low-income about where I'm from, right? I was raised by a single mother. My father, who died when I was 15, is a war hero. who fought for the independence of our country. And much like many of our veterans, even here in the U.S., there's a lot of burden associated with that after the fact and not a lot of support. But I was raised by fighters, I guess is what it is. I was raised by people who didn't accept the status quo, who taught us to be the same way. And my mother, who's truly the hero of my story, valued education. And so we knew from the time we could talk that we, in order for our dreams to come true. She didn't have the money to make that happen. She couldn't pay for it like other people's privilege affords them. And so I remember the first thing she bought me was a bicycle. And I thought, dope, she wants us to play. And it came with strings attached because it came with a library card. And we were only to use it to go to school and to go to the library. So I grew up very young with a love of books. My entire journey has been about academic excellence in order to be able to fulfill those dreams, scholarships, and really being assertive about my journey. I'd never like to make the message. I think it's really unfair when people get up here and they say hard work, hard work. There's a lot of blessings there, a lot of luck. And as I've been afforded the opportunities to be in certain institutions, I'll tell you that a lot of the people who prop themselves up as it took hard work, they have people who answer the phone, who pick up the phone for them, just like I can now, right? If someone needed me to pick up the phone for them, I have within my Rolodex people that can help them. So it's a culmination of all of those things, but certainly the foundation was a mother who really instilled within me the importance of hard work.
Beautiful, beautiful. And before I get into the next question, I just want to verbally state that as far as the research and the care goes into our podcast and to how deep we look into our guests, it's definitely a team effort.
That's amazing.
So like just because we the ones on camera, like people might assume, oh yeah, we the ones doing all the research. We're not doing all the work. It's definitely a team effort. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Y'all so excellent. I love it here.
Thank you.
There's
Thank you.
so much Black excellence in here. I live.
Beautiful.
This is amazing.
So as an 11-year-old,
yeah,
what goes through your mind? Like I know you were raised by fighters, and I know that people like Kanye West or a Tupac might exemplify people that weren't raised to be silent, that were raised to speak out, and how that could also sometimes get you in maybe some unnecessary trouble too.
Absolutely.
So one, what goes through the mind of an 11-year-old sneaking to a protest, first of all, and can you talk about a case where your willingness to fight may have landed you in some trouble that you didn't particularly have to be in?
Oh yeah. So it's good trouble, right? And along the way to learning and really defining what good trouble is, sometimes you get into some bad trouble and you learn. And you have to make the decision and have the willpower to decide that you want to stay within that lane, right? So you can use your powers for good or evil. That's a choice. But I will say, when I talk about that foundation my mom instilled, I talked about the education, but the true center of it was God. So I was raised in a very, very spiritual, God-loving, God-centric family. And when my mother put me on a plane at 18 years old and sent me with one suitcase across the world, took a 2-day Greyhound bus, we could do a podcast just on how crazy that journey was. From D.C. to a small town called Springfield, Missouri, through a bunch of cornfields for my first undergraduate experience. That's faith, man. It's a lot of things that just kept me alive, even on that 48-hour Greyhound bus, right? So, I was finally free and alone at 18. I'd never been, that independent. And those undergrad years could have gone any kind of way. You know what I mean? I could have made some really poor choices. I had a lot of fun. I did a lot of bad stuff in college, you know what I mean? Yeah. But at the center of it, there was something that always kept me from taking it too far. Because, again, the foundation that my mom instilled in me was very... it was about, it's those values. And for us, in my household, those values were based on a love for God, a respect for education, and family over everything. And I think that no matter where I've been, no matter how far away I've been from people, that's always stayed. But I'm blessed, right? Because when you talk about some of the other people who didn't get into maybe some good trouble,
I want to invite you two to the conversation.
I definitely have a question or a few questions myself.
Please.
Me being the type of person I am and the way I came up, I've always had this yearning to grow and wanting to gain as much knowledge as possible. So to hear 30 years of consistency, like that's amazing. But my question for that would be, 30 years, why medicine?
Yeah, man. Didn't know for a long time. Even when I finally got to med school, was very insecure about whether I'd made the right direction. And I'm not going to sell you a story. If you go to my bio looks dope. Like, I just look like she's never failed. She's always had it figured out. She's brilliant. So let's talk about some facts. Let's pull the curtain open. Number one, if I took an IQ test, I test very average. Science for me is very difficult. My natural talent is actually the arts, which is why I think I got so excited to be around you guys, because I'm a writer, I'm an orator. You know, I thought I was going to be the next Oprah Winfrey. Do you know what I mean? But peer pressure in school was part of it. You know, when you're smart in low-income countries, you're told that only smart people do one of three things: doctor, lawyer, or accountant. And I'm sure you've heard some of those stereotypes from many like Asian or African cultures as well. And so some of that played into it. But the death of my father changed me forever. I wasn't close to him. He was not equipped to be a good father. So when he came back from the war, just was not supportive, never paid child support. I really resented him and hated how he treated my mom. But I was a kid yearning for a dad as well. And so I lashed out at him. And then he got cancer and did not tell anyone. And he died before we ever had the opportunity to make peace when I was 15. And so the trauma of that and the guilt of that really sort of planted the seed for medicine, not for the traditional reasons, not for the prestige or because I was smart, but because I knew that the last person that was around my father, because he kept his condition a secret, was his medical team. And I just prayed from a place of guilt that they were good people, that they were nurturing and comforting people. So my personality, not my brains really, was what drew me to medicine, because it was about the fact that I know I love people. You can just tell. I can talk all day. I love to make people laugh. I'll make myself look like a fool to get a laugh out of everyone else. I'm a hugger. I was born to be a mother. I would quit my job today if it meant that it, put my kids in harm's way. And so I'm just a very interesting dichotomy of I'm happen to be good at this, but what I'm truly about is human connection, communication, love, and nurturing. Sure, and so when that happened to my dad, it took me there. So I guess the consistency came from a place of it was rooted in something very deep and personal, but it was hard. I failed a lot. So I don't take standardized tests well. I failed many times. I kept it a secret. I ran from school. I took breaks because I couldn't figure it out. And it took people believing in me, taking a chance on me. Shout out to Dr. Robert Haney. When a lot of traditional schools were about to kick me out, he made sure to connect me with institutions that helped me to figure out what was going on with my test-taking anxiety, and ultimately I overcame that. So what you don't see in a bio is when I failed, when I got anxious, when I was depressed, when as a international Black woman immigrant, right, a lot of the overt racism, micro and macroaggressions really had me going through some dark spaces with no support. When you're put in places where you're the only Black person in a whole department, how isolating that can be. That doesn't make its way to a bio, but that's also a part of my 30-year journey. So I'm mostly proud of where I am, not because of what's on my bio, but of what I had to fight to overcome, right, without the level of privilege people around me had, to still be the first Black female physician director of health for the city of St. Louis. That's why I'll big myself up, because it was the struggle that I'm proud of, not necessarily, the stuff that you guys had to read in my bio.
Definitely. Peace, guys.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, I wanted to clap, you know what I'm saying? Like 100%.
Yeah.
100%. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. I have a question.
Please.
The premise of our project is to boost vaccination confidence.
Yeah.
So with that said, what is your take on historical events that created distrust towards vaccination within certain demographics?
So this is what I'm going to need y'all to do. I'm going to need y'all to cut me off, because this right here, this question right here, is my jam.
Gotcha.
So once I get started, we could be here for a while. So I need you to not be shy and be like, I need you to calm down, and I need you to wrap it up, okay?
Okay.
So let's talk
But
about
this needs
that.
to be stated.
Oh, my God. I refuse to do a talk if they're not going to be comfortable with me getting really real with them, right? So one of the things at the beginning of the COVID pandemic that drove me crazy was once the disproportionate impact within Black communities, that data came out, we were getting COVID at higher rates than white folks, we were getting severe disease, and we were dying. It was the righteous indignation and the shock. I wanted to slap everybody because I was like, there is nothing new about this. Copy and paste high blood pressure, copy and paste diabetes, copy and paste cancer, copy and paste literally every medical condition. So it has nothing to do with the disease state. It has to do with health disparities that are rooted in historic and current systematic institutionalized racism, right? So let's take it back. During slavery, the bodies of Black people were considered property. We'd had no informed consent. So they literally could use our bodies for experiments, much like the atrocities you hear from apartheid or from the Nazi period, right? Yeah. Our bodies were used without consent. I can give you examples, if we had time today, of atrocious experiments, because I've done a lot of research into this. Slave masters who also happen to be physicians would literally take slaves. An example was a slave called Fed. They dug up a pit, would put him in it every day for 12 hours at a time, cover him in dirt, so only his head was above the ground, and then subject him at the highest temperatures, different temperatures, to see what it would take, how long he could stay awake before he would pass out, only so they could see how long they could work him. So they'd give him different medicines to see which one would keep him awake the longest. There is considered the father of modern obstetrician and gynecology, Dr. Marion Sims, who would do experiments on female Black women slaves. Anesthesia was available at the time. He would do them without anesthesia. He would go into their private parts, prying at their organs, removing, repairing fistulas. So think about like if you had plumbing in your body, right? And there was a hole in the plumbing and you had to like literally sew it up. He did this without anesthesia. And only when he perfected his technique did he use it on white women with anesthesia. Let's go to 1951. Henrietta Lacks, 31 years old, died from cervical cancer at Johns Hopkins University. They took her cells from her body without her consent because they figured out that those cells, HeLa cells, right, would like live in perpetuity. They just keep replicating, and so we could use them. We've used them for decades now for experiments that have literally saved medicine. Her family for 20 years didn't even know they were in existence. They never got a formal apology or any compensation. Tuskegee, 30 years that Black men were were being told that they were being taken care of with syphilis when penicillin was available and they weren't offered it once. They, their children, their partners, all got horrific medical conditions, and some even died, right? So we want to call that hesitancy, vaccine hesitancy, because Black people don't trust the current, government, scientific, and medical institutions that literally failed them and did atrocious things in the name of science and medicine. But it's not just historic, it's current day. Right? Exactly. We know, and we have research and a lot of publications that show that Black and brown people are not treated equitably in these same institutions. And so I'm almost offended now by the term of vaccine hesitancy, because there's nothing hesitant about what we've endured historically and currently in the name of science. It should be increasing vaccine confidence, because the onus should be on the same people whose institutions have oppressed us to do the work of increasing vaccine confidence.
And you know it's a willingness to admit by people in the medical field that made me more willing to get vaccinated.
That's right.
You know, as opposed to trying to act like it didn't happen, or it was a long time ago, get over it. You know what I'm saying? It was the accepting responsibility and saying I get why they don't trust it. Like,
when I talk to my colleagues, I say it literally takes nothing to say two sentences. You're right, and I'm sorry. That goes a long way. Rather than trying to prop yourself up on some self-righteous pedestal because you don't believe that you didn't directly do it, why do you have to? Mm-hmm. I'm a Black woman, and I say, you're right, I'm sorry. Because I represent those institutions. When I worked at WashU, I am a part of that institution. So when someone comes and tells me about a negative experience they've had or what's happened in their community, it takes nothing for me to acknowledge that and to apologize and to help those defense mechanisms come up so that now we can dialogue.
Right.
And even then, let's be very clear, right? You met me today. You don't know me from a bar of soap. So that trust can't be manufactured overnight, which is the other reason why we have to commit. It's not enough to have these conversations. I now hold the federal government and the CDC accountable to where is the data, because Dr. Corey Bradley has taught me data is justice. And if you've looked historically, there's never been data for Black people in the same wealth that there has been for other minoritized groups. It's what's happening in the transgender community right now. We can't even get them data and funding, funding and policy, because we don't even have data about what's going on in their community. Right? It's not even prioritized. So we need data, we need funding, and we need policy if you're going to make us believe that you're serious about health equity in the most serious sense. Yeah.
Definitely. 100%. Go ahead. Yeah, y'all good. The audience want to clap. Yeah, most definitely 100%.
Powerful.
Yeah, really. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, you did kind of answer my second question following the first.
Yeah.
Of what would be the ideal method to eliminate future distrust and noncompliance?
Yeah.
Because, you know, it could be a person of authority, it could be a president, it can be local officials that tell you just get it. But it's like that trauma.
Yeah.
And with the data, what do you advise?
Yeah.
That could be a way to.
Well, let's keep it real, right? We botched this pandemic. Like, this pandemic has been a literal nightmare in lessons of what not to do. So I got to meet Dr. Rochelle Walensky. She came to St. Louis last week. I don't know if you saw it in the press. She's the head of the CDC. And St. Louis is the first health department that she's ever visited. Stand Up St. Louis. I was really proud of that. And as the director, I think you're getting a sense of how I am. I was given an hour, and I pitched 6 hours, and they committed. And then I said, I want to take you to North St. Louis, to the federally qualified health centers, to the hood, and I want you to see equity in action, but I also want you to see physically how your policies affect real life people. And it was such a beautiful day. And to her credit, she has taken a lot of criticism. She has had a rough time. My dream used to be to be the head of the CDC. I don't even know anymore, because this pandemic, I mean, the CDC took hit after hit after hit.
Yeah.
But the one thing I respected about her is that she was very self-aware. We had some candid dialogue. And instead of just kissing her ass because I want a future job, potentially maybe in 10 years, I said the things I say on Twitter or behind closed door to her face politely, you know.
Right.
And we engaged in dialogue. And what I really loved was she knew what went wrong. She knew some of the mistakes, right? And it speaks to your answer about what can we do in the future is I like to learn from the past. So let's think about some of the things that went wrong. One of the things I saw is that we didn't have enough people who are actually good communicators, right? Not to big myself up, but often I've had people say, man, if I'd had access to someone who speaks like you, I think it wouldn't have been as much of an issue. So putting people on TV that may be book smart, but who just aren't great educators and communicators is a problem. Definitely. Number two is being honest. Sometimes the medical community, well, not sometimes, we're really condescending. We think we're so high up and amazing with our 30 years of education and our multiple degrees that we don't trust that the public can handle the truth, right? So we sugarcoat it, or we dilute it down so much that when people then when things go a different way, the public then is distrustful or are saying mixed messages we heard a lot, or straight up they lied, right? When really all you needed to do was be a little bit more transparent and a little bit more willing to say things like, we don't know, right? Or medicine is not static. It's not a monolith. It's not the same one day, the next week, the next month, the next year. Viruses are, the reason why I wanted to be an infectious diseases doctor is because viruses are gangster. Like, they literally will figure out what's going on and mutate. And then they'll figure that out and mutate. So you're constantly catching up with them. That's why we haven't been able to find a cure for HIV after all these years, right? So we should have told the public that we may be telling you one thing now, but we're literally learning as we go, and that is going to change. So someone may say mask now, and then when things are better, you can drop mask. But we didn't give them that expectation, and that trust went away, right? But the most important part, I think, of earning trust is understanding that it takes time, and so leaning into people who have earned the trust of the community. And those are people like our faith leaders, pastors. That's why I have a clergy advisory board. It's our federally qualified health centers, not the WashUs and the SLUs all the time, right? It's leaning into them because they've literally been in these communities helping poor Black people for years, right? It's leaning into you guys have earned the trust of your community. I'm here on a Saturday as opposed to being somewhere else because I know that young people are going to listen to you, not me. So it's about identifying who trusted leaders are, letting them take the lead, arming them with the data, the funding, and the know-how, but letting people who have yet to earn that trust take a back seat and be comfortable being support staff.
Wow. I would love to sit here and talk to you all day. That's what we want. We'd love to have you back if you'd be willing to come back.
Yes.
With your director.
Well, I'm gonna say it on live so y'all can't play me. See this merch? I asked for some and they said they didn't have it. So they then said, where's the camera? Which camera am I talking to? Yeah. So they then said they were going to bring me the merch to my office. So I'm holding them accountable. They've also live said they'd like to have me back. So if you don't see me again, it's because they're liars.
Wow. Okay. So I guess we got to get, not only do we got to get her back, but we got to get her on Twitter with the merch on. So you know what I'm saying? With all these followers, we got to get her on Twitter.
Perception about to be true.
I'm saying right. If we wasn't telling the truth before, we telling it now. But no, we were always gonna do it. So we have time for one more question to close out.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a question from Carisha, who's in the Zoom right now. She wants to know, how do you stay sane even though you know how insane injustice has been?
Oh my gosh, Thank you for asking that question. I'm not sane. I'm not okay. I put on a dress and some knee-high boots today because it's my job. I fake the funk a lot, but I cry a lot. I scream a lot. I recently embarrassed myself at work because it's all too much, and public health has been under assault. I have staff that depend on me that are not getting paid equitably. I have people resigning because it's the burden of this job is so hard. So being here is actually healing for me. You all are healing. You all are support system. So I surround myself and make sure I stay connected with what's real, and that gives me fuel. I am now a person of privilege, so I remind myself that even though I get to cry a little bit, I get to go home to a beautiful house, a partner who loves and supports me, and who I can hand the kids when I'm having a bad day and take a nap, and some people don't have that. But I have been really intentional about pruning, and I want to give this to y'all young. It's okay to say that some people, whether it's family or friends or people in your professional life, are for a season and some for a lifetime. When I started being very intentional about keeping my circle tight and with people who are loyal, who are uplifting, who are positive, and that doesn't mean yes people, right? But not people who are destructive. And sometimes it's me. I've been that for somebody else. And it's okay to say no. It's okay to have boundaries, and it's okay to move on from certain relationships because everybody can't go with you where you're going. So I think the reason I'm able to say somewhat sane is what I'll say, because I don't feel sane right now. It is hard right now, is because I have an amazing team. My mom, my sisters, my best friends, my husband. Oh, I got myself a king, y'all. Like Jesse Allen Davis will ride right now. I love that. Do you understand? He is down for the cause now. If I wasn't being treated well at work, I remember the job that I resigned from because of racism, because of not being supported. He literally was like, you can quit today and I'll quit with you and we'll go. So I'm just very fortunate that I have worked hard to be in a position where I have options, but I also surround myself with a team that supports me so that when it gets real tough, they've got my back. And that's really what it is. But while I make it look cute on TV and when I'm on CNN and stuff, your girl's struggling. Okay, it's real hard right now.
And it's okay to not be okay.
Yes,
it's okay.
Yes,
it's okay.
Thank
It's
you
okay.
for
We all
sharing
go
that.
crazy. Yes, thank you. Thank you for being authentically yourself. It helps
Absolutely.
people to authentically be themselves.
Listen, what they don't see is that you guys are hyping me. They don't even know me. I got a hype squad out here.
Yo,
I mean, the
yes.
energy
Hey, yo,
in
we
this
with it.
room is
We with it.
crazy.
We, you know what I'm saying? We like black excellence too.
Come
You know what I'm
on.
saying? We with it. We with it. So
Lead by example.
we're actually gonna have our dancers come up and do a short number.
I'm really excited
Real quick,
for that.
and then we're going to close out. Everybody on Zoom, thank you so much for joining us. We hope you'll stay for the number.
Please.
And still, if you have questions, put them in the chat, even if we don't have time to get them asked right now. We're going to bring the doctor back. And you just heard it. She said it on live. Everybody
Live.
heard it. So we're going to bring the
Live.
doctor back. We'll
On
get your
record,
questions
best
down.
interview I've ever had. On record.
Oh,
Love it
y'all
here.
heard that? Y'all heard that?
On record.
Y'all heard that?
On record.
So I'm going to put my Instagram up after this, and I need you to say that again on my camera.
Okay.
But that being said, let's go crazy. Ted, you ready?
We rise, we shine now. We fly, we soar through the clouds. We rise, we shine now. We never falling down. We rise, we shine now. We fly, we soar through the clouds. We rise, we shine now. We never falling down. Never to never, we never falling down. Never to never, we never falling down. Never, we never falling down. We never falling down. Never, we never falling down. Never.
We wanna grow. You gotta go. Yeah. But you gon' go. Enemy, damaging. Similes. History. Epiphany. No one else matters. Go get the ladder. You for it, yes. Quiz in the cards again.
We rise, we shine now. We fly, we soar through the clouds. We rise, we shine now. We never falling down. We rise, we shine now. We fly, we soar through the clouds. We rise, we shine now. We never falling down. We rise, we shine. We fly, we soar through the clouds. We rise, we shine now. We never falling down. We rise, we shine now. We fly, we soar through the clouds. We rise, we shine now. We never falling down. Never, we never falling down. Never, never, we never falling down. Never, we never falling down. We never falling down. Never, never, we never falling down. Never.
Fire.
Okay, y'all get busy.
Fire.
Okay, y'all get busy. I talked a lot of
Fire.
mess before I got here, but I can't.
Her.
Absolutely not.
Fire. Ladies and gentlemen, everybody under the sound of my voice, we want to thank you for joining us. We hope you found this entertaining. We hope you found it insightful. And we hope you found it inspiring. We hope that you've been inspired. We hope that you feel like you're going to walk away from this Zoom more. We hope that you feel like you're going to walk away from this Zoom more informed than you were when you came in. We want to thank you so much for being a part of this. We want to thank the CDC Foundation. And, of course, we want to thank Dr. Davis for joining us. Lord, watch out. You blocking her, boy. Hey. We want to thank Dr. Davis for joining us as well. Thank you to the engineers, everybody in the building. Thank you to Troy on the camera.
Thank
you to the audience, even though they didn't get to ask their questions. I know they had questions, so thank y'all for coming prepared and all that. Yes, definitely. It's always next time. So thank you. Thank you, everybody. And we out. We out. Good job, y'all. Good job. We done.
All right, everyone. We hope that you found this educational, that it's been insightful, and that it's also been entertaining for you. If you're wondering how you can keep up with things the St. Louis Story Stitches are doing, we invite you to follow us on Instagram at Story Stitchers, on Twitter at Story Stitchers, as well as at storystitchers.org. Also, if you're in between the ages of 16 and 24 and you're an artist, and you're wondering how you can join the Story Stitchers family, you can also apply at storystitchers.org. Thank you.